Hey everybody, welcome back. With us we have Wendy Terrien. She's an author whose book completely escaped my mind, but it's a series that involves cryptids and like cryptozoological creatures and stuff like that. Sounds like a really interesting read, but you're gonna have to remind my stoner ass what the actual title of the book is.
It's the Rampart Guards. Here's a bookmark for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Rampart Guards. It's the first in the series, and it came out last year. The next two are coming out. I'm doing two book twos, kind of different.
Awesome.
And they're coming out August 11th.
Very cool. So tell us a little bit, like, just about the birthplace of like this idea.
You know, it's funny because people tell you not to watch TV because it's bad for you. But I was watching TV, and it was Bones, the TV show Bones.
Okay.
And the murder of the week looked like they had been killed by a Chupacabra. And I didn't know what that was. So I heard them say Chupacabra and then cryptozoologist, which I also didn't know what that was. So I went and looked him up. And then I started thinking, how could those kinds of creatures live among us and we don't see them? You know how sometimes we see the blurry photos of Bigfoot, but we never...
Nessie,
yeah, so I turned it into this whole story of how that actually can be, that there's a shield that protects us from their energy because some of them emit so much energy that it could incinerate humans, and also hides them, which is why you sometimes see blurry pictures of them because the shield is breaking down in certain places.
It's almost like a magical version of the Predator's little mirror armor.
Yeah, there you go.
If he moves too fast, you can see him. But if he stands still, he's going to kill Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right.
So when you're doing this deep dive, because I assume that's in the internet age, you're like, oh, I'm going to look up cryptozoology, and they're like, oh, endless amounts of information. When you do this deep dive into cryptozoology, what was like the most standout? That is an intensely bizarre thing that I never would have thought out.
The fact that there are so many. You know, we've heard of Loch Ness and Bigfoot and Chupacabra is pretty well known. It wasn't to me at the time, but it is.
Right.
And there's a list of hundreds that people have seen that claim to exist, that have film, pictures, 200 of them.
Wow.
200 plus. Yeah. So all the creatures are used in the book. I don't use the really well-known ones. They're all these more obscure ones, but they all technically exist on the internet, at least.
Hey, if it exists on the internet, it's real,
true,
right?
Yeah, totally.
So when you're looking at them, like, what is it that fascinates you the most about this idea that there might be creatures out there that we can't see somehow?
That it could really be real. Why not, right? I mean, there really could be a shield. And it really could be that if it breaks down a little bit, that's when we end up being able to see Bigfoot and get a blurry picture of him. It's just so fun for me to think about, this really could really be... It's kind of like Muggles.
Right.
We really could be Muggles. Who knows, right?
It's like a bizarre version of Harry Potter where instead of wizards, there's Bigfoot.
Right.
Sasquatch.
Or like the Matrix. We could all be plugged into something and not realize that
there's way too many moments in my life where I'm like, this is definitely a computer
When you
program.
see the glitch.
Yeah. Yep. I feel like November was just one giant glitch. No,
I'm
sorry. I won't make you go political. That's my job.
Okay.
But when you're kind of explaining it to the public, you know, because as an independent author, like it's hard to get your name out there. It's hard to get the word out that you have this great idea, right? So as an author, when you're explaining it to people, you know, what is the big hook? Is it just the cryptozoological, or how do you draw people in?
You know, people do love that.
Yeah.
Is something everyone relates to because we have heard the stories. Everyone knows at least a Bigfoot story, or they've seen the film.
Right.
You know, and
everybody's seen the guy in the suit that may not be a guy in a suit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, some of it has been proven fake, but some of it has not. So we all kind of go, it's like aliens, right? Well, it really could be, right?
Right.
And so people really relate to that. And so I think that really draws people in. And then just the whole story about someone's trying to tear down the shield and destroy the human race. And so it's just a fun,
it becomes
fun kind
an
of
awesome
story.
Adventure / weird monster book.
Yeah.
I love it. It's such a cool concept to me. Like, I grew up with that kind of TV show, Unsolved Mysteries, and the one that Spock did that I can never remember what it's called.
I almost had it.
Exactly,
but
me too. I'm like, it's right there.
Yeah.
Don't worry, our friend
In Search of.
In Search of, that's right. Our friend Clyde would have corrected us. Like, he calls in and is like, hey, Gabe, you're an idiot. This is what it's called. But
now he won't have to call.
Yeah. Calm down, Clyde. Put the internet away. Crap. So I grew up with that.
Yeah.
Like, on TV all the time. I was just talking on the podcast a couple weeks ago about how Netflix picked up all of these TV shows from Canada, and one of them is called Portals to the Unknown. And that's the kind of stuff that they look into.
Oh, cool.
When you're doing the book, when you're researching the book, did you put a lot of like crazy, silly, like reenactment TV into your brain?
Yeah, I watched it. I
yeah.
watched a lot of that stuff because I wanted to see what some of the other stories were about these things that I hadn't heard. So yeah, I watched a lot of those. Some of them are silly.
Oh yeah.
But some of them again make you think a little bit.
And like I remember, like I've heard stuff about the Jersey Devil and like the story of it stealing the baby and like all this other stuff. And I mean, it used to creep me out pretty bad as a kid. Do you have any moments where you're like, oh, that's super freaky? Like,
yes. Yeah. In fact, there's Kappa are in there, and they can be really great because they have the power to heal, but they also like to eat babies and pickles.
All monsters like to eat babies.
They like to eat pickles too.
The kappa are the Japanese creatures with the water bowl, right?
So they keep that inside their head, and that's how they find their homeland is with the.
And if they tip over, they die.
If it comes out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's because it's sealed in. It's sealed in there.
Oh, okay.
At least the way I interpreted it when I read about them.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I won't change your interpretation because it's your book.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well. Wendy, tell our listeners how they can find your book and how they can find you online and stuff.
I have a website, wendyterrien.com, and then it's available anywhere online or any bookstore. They can order it if the bookstore doesn't happen to carry it. So it's available everywhere, and I'm on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, all those fun places too.
Awesome. Well, Wendy, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I'm actually really excited to pick up your book.
Thanks.
So I have to talk to my wife first, though.
Okay.
My wife
totally
has all my money.
Yep.
But thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank
Sounds
you.
Like a super fascinating book.
Have a great weekend at Con.
You too.